Hi, sweet beloveds, amazing beings of light. We look so cool.
It's fantastic.
Just coming from, literally from the jungle, from deep in the river where we did all sorts of epic awesomeness. So we have the jungle look still going on and we're fully activated. So this is Sundari, aka Marcy Lock Mentor. We're on a couple systems here, also tracking audio, so we'll do our best to say hello up here, and then I might be also over here a bit. So you can see this gorgeous, glorious being that I'm with. Shiva! Where are we at, Shiva?
Well, this is my temple over here in Bali.
Shiva temple.
Exactly, I call this the Vital Gate. The reason why I call it Vital Gate is after coming from the pyramids of Egypt, you know, I felt like, oh, we need to activate temples. So I felt really strong calling to arrive in a sacred space, and this temple was given to me. So beautiful.
Yeah.
It's sacred geometry. We're in an octagon
Yep,
here with
we
codes
are.
everywhere. You don't see them, but
It's like in any place that I go, I always code in the space and have codes everywhere. I've never been in someone else's space where they have the same, and when I came here I was like, oh, if you guys, I don't know, you guys can see, like you can see a little bit on the wall, but literally every space all along here, all down the pillars is all codes from
exactly.
And I mean, obviously I've been in your other spaces too, and how they're all coded with other things too. It's just fucking awesome.
So I call this place Vital Gate, precisely.
Yeah.
The code word for gate or stargate, or temple is Davara.
Yeah.
So we are
Gracia Davara.
we are in Davaraya, Rajaya Davaraya. So it's the stargate of the victorious fire.
The stargate of the victorious fire. So good.
Yeah.
So that's where we're at. We're sitting in this beautiful, epic, amazing, sacred space. And I've been getting to work with Shiva for a bit, and I really felt called to get to dive into some aspects that you fully embody, fucking embodiment. And so my loves, I'm so excited to be able to have this conversation and just kind of get into openness, because what I really recognize and feel is that most people are still always seeking outside of themselves because they haven't found the wholeness embodied within ourselves. And we are here to be embodied, integrated souls. And so, as I'm continually always in my expansion of receiving greater and greater and fully activating all the remembrance and all the codes, I was really feeling called to expand through sacred rituals, expand with the magnification of another soul. Expand in obviously I do my own sex magic rituals and all sorts of things all over the world, and I was really feeling the call to work with the divine masculine or work with another partner in sacred ritual aspects. And so this is kind of what was being drawn to me, and I got called to experience this 8-day Tantra immersion experience. And Shiva we'd never actually met physically, even though we'd been in the community and whatnot, and just his fucking presence was like, and I'm just like, this fucking amazing, glorious light being, and he just really impacted my soul with his presence, and I really felt the call to do more with him. And I'm like, we live a lot alike in that we were both highly in doing activation work and embodiment tools and chanting every day and breath and all these things, and it was just like, I'm not sure what it is, but I just know I get to experience this being. And holy shit, every single experience with Shiva has just been such a fucking gift for my soul. Has been so beautiful, nourishing. And this is one of the things as I've dove into relationship codes, is I speak to how we get clear on what is in alignment, really what is compatible or in alignment for every type of experience. And I think as I was seeking and I was calling this in, I had several men or other beings in my space where I was like, okay, well, could that could align for maybe this type of just aspect, but it wasn't full. It wasn't the whole fuck yes. And so I was like, okay, that's not a yes. And when I interacted with Shiva, it just was so a yes. And this is why, and this is what I want to come to, is that Shiva is such the you are the embodiment of all aspects of the feminine and masculine, the light and the dark in their light, right, which we'll get to dive into, of the feminine and the masculine. And in the Tantra immersion experience, even as we kind of were diving into embodiment of different things, I recognize I have experienced embodiment of each of these aspects, and most people feel really disconnected from that, and they don't have a lot of context to bring into how that's showing up and operating, which I feel like you're such a gift to be able to share. And there's not many people that I feel like I've experienced that are living in the embodiment of their allness, in the embodiment of all those things. So my work with Shiva has been, we've done it. Like, can we even put a label to everything we've done? Going down in the jungle, stripping down naked, doing, you know, deep activation work and chanting and, you know, all sorts of things that I feel like have had the reflection in front of me of that embodiment and that anchoring that has given me access to a greater receiving of those codes. And so I've really been able to anchor in some of these other aspects of, you know, of all of it from coming from you. And as we've worked with Kali and, you know, Shiva and all the things that we've done, and I'm just like, fuck, it's because you embody it. So I just want to give so much honor and gratitude to you,
Thank
this
you.
beautiful being, and he's been such a gift for me and such a. So it's like every I look forward to Monday. Every Monday we come up and we strip down and we go naked in the jungle and we do all the fun things. So I would love to dive into the aspects of the feminine and masculine, as well as one of the other masters I feel like you're so great at is partnership coupling type codes and rituals to enhance things with kamayama, the mastery of sex and all those things. So that's kind of like the range of where I really want to, you know, share your genius. I mean, and you have many other aspects, but first, what would you share maybe a bit of your journey, like what your journey's been like to lead you to here? And so people are like, whoa, no wonder the dude's so fucking dope. Look at all that he's done and who he is, and yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much. Wow, what an introduction. I love it.
Love you.
So, I used to be a geologist in the science world a long time ago. Yeah, this was...
I didn't even know that part.
around 30 years ago. And then at some point I went into the jungles in Costa Rica for my research. And I mean, I was already a mystic. I was already practicing yoga for many years. From the age of 13, I was, you know, already impacted by the writings of Aurobindo and so on. So I kept on exploring the spiritual world. And around the early 90s, then I got really the strong calling to keep on meditating. And the more I was meditating, the deeper I was going into practices, the more the spirit was calling me into that space. So I quit the science world. I quit my career and my relationship to the matrix that I was having at that point, which was
relationship to the matrix.
Yeah, exactly.
So
I extracted myself out of that reality and reprogrammed myself or reclaim my life in a very different reality, which was all dedicated to spiritual exploration, basically. Yeah. And this is what I did for 12 years full on, you know. This is full time, going to retreats, leading workshops, retreats, and living in different ashrams and places around the world, visiting temples, going to Mount Kailash, you know, connecting with different masters and sources. So this is, you know, it's a 12-year training. When and then after that, I launched my coaching practice because I thought I have to embody that in something that I can bring back into the world in my own terms and in my own words. And that has been my journey since then. So in those 20 years of coaching and spiritual training that I took people into, so this is the vital coaching and the vital Tantra that I developed. It has been magnificent and powerful.
So magnificent.
I ended up in different places, of course, around the world. I spent lots of time in Hungary, in the Netherlands, in the Himalayas, Egypt, other places in the Middle East as well.
Mystery school? Where was mystery school?
In mystery school. So that was a lot connected with New Zealand, you know, around that time. And that was part of my, you know, my early training. And then, yeah, of course, coming to Bali, I've been here like 7 years now. So this temple has been established for 7 years. And it has been a whole new range of exploration. Yeah. Something else that I want to say about my journey is that it has been a very integrated, powerful journey. It means that I haven't been abstracting myself out there in, you know, in some caves. I've been doing that quite a bit and in isolation for extended periods of time. But it has been really bringing all that back into the world. It means that for me, the women and the relationships that I had with women in my life, I had probably like around 12 long-term relationships with women who have been my teachers and exchanging, quotes and energies.
Just to clarify for people that might not get that, what you mean is obviously in every experience and relationship, we each bring different codes. Like I'm getting codes from you, and you're saying in this relationship, this was my teacher who brought me these codes, and you gave these codes, and that's what relationship is.
Exactly.
Sacred contract.
But what I want to say about that is that this has been the context of evolution. This is why what I practice is Tantra, because it's a very integrated where we don't abstract ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, it's not about bypassing the things that we are facing, but very much about, you know, if you have fire and energy coming to the surface, and also using the sexual energy as an access point to the divine. So
it's actually really good that you brought that up, because I know there is, I feel like the more that I dove into Tantra, the more I was like, well, this is what I teach, this is what I live. Like, it's life force energy, it's just life. But I feel like there is a lot of misperceptions that Tantra is only associated to sex. What would you describe Tantra as?
Well, for me, the path of Tantra is a complete path of life mastery.
Yeah, there you
go.
go.
So you know, when you track the source of the word Tantra and you try to translate it, I would say the words that come to mind is teaching, system. It's a method. And so in ancient times, you know, in India, you have the sutras, you have the agamas, you have the tantras. So all those are series of teachings. This is what they are. And the aim of Tantra is for me to become a life master, is to teach you life mastery. And so what we do is we develop systems, we develop mantras, we develop techniques, approaches, rituals, concepts, you know, mindsets to help you master life, basically. And so the whole system of Tantra is a system of life mastery. Is you start from a place where your life might not be optimized.
As you've got our full activation code. Right?
I'm holding this. This is
We've
a
been
test
playing
right
with
now
this
to
in the jungle today. Yeah.
See if this channels truth a little bit more.
Yeah.
Isn't that a powerful object?
I just was like, I was like, yeah, you're really being aware of that.
For the audio here, we are holding a trishula here in my hand. So, it's you start from a place where your life might not be optimized, and then you start optimizing, and then eventually you come to a place where you feel like you're life master. So for me, life mastery means mastering 5 core areas. This is my vital tantra system: is sex, body, mind, money, and spirit. And by sex is interpersonal relationships, everything that has to do with family, but I use code words to simplify it to the max. Okay, so sex, body, mind, money, and spirit. The body, nutrition, everything that you bring into your body, how you train, how you optimize your body.
Which I feel like I could do a whole fucking show with you on the codes of timelessness, because like Shiva, can I say your age?
Yeah.
Shiva's 55 years young. 55 years young. And that's the thing. It's like, see, we believe like we only get younger. We only continue to create more light and be, you know, our bodies continue to work perfectly and effortlessly and all these things. And so you're also a beautiful representation for me of that. I'm like, that's what I teach. And yet you're living embodiment of it, and you're a bit ahead of me. So it's like perfect. Because I was like, when you first told me your age, I was like, what?
Yeah.
Perfect.
So this is the thing that is interesting about that. You know, this is another part of the mind programming that we have in society, right? You go like, oh, you are 60, you have to think about retirement. You go like,
you were telling me about, you know, having plenty of sex with 20-year-olds, and you're like, and that's part of it.
And it's like you know, it's like the whole mindset. So this is part of the mind training and the body training. So you know, a few years back, I was like, oh, start to have a bit of pain in my back, and then I train harder, and then I start looking at the places where my body can be activated and enhanced and optimized, and I go like, wow, there is all this range of things that and so now I'm in the best shape that I have ever been, and I have no intention of slowing down. I have intention of just speeding up, you know. And so these are mindsets, you know, optimizing the nutrition and so on, the training, and really taking care of your body as if this is your temple, you know, this is your greatest asset.
All those core aspects are what you consider Tantra.
Of course.
Yeah, see, and that's the thing that I got too. I was like, well, this Tantra is just life force energy. It's life flow. You call it life mastery, which I absolutely love.
Exactly.
So you've been a life master teacher.
Exactly.
And living it fully. I love the line you used today when we were coming out of the jungle. You're like, what did you say? You said, you're really a true spiritual seeker, not just a tourist. And I'm like, well, yeah, I'm fucking fully in life all the time.
Exactly.
And I feel like you're such a beautiful reflection of that. You're just here fully living it every day in the growth, the expansion, the activation, the fullness of life.
Beautiful.
You know, and really, that's why we're in the jungle. We're like, where is everyone? They're all in the Matrix.
Yeah. Exactly.
we're running around.
So this is exactly what you're doing, Marcy, because you're engaging in life with such passion, such determination to figure it out. You know, it's not like having an idea and then waiting 3 months to manifest it. You have an idea, and it's straight away you're online checking what you can do about it and bringing it on. I give you, you know, I let you 5 minutes by yourself, and you're like, oh, you know, singing to the divine and doing all sorts of quotes. So it goes very fast. You know, this is why you are where you are today. You know, you're successfully bringing all that into the world, because that's part of part of your passion and your fire that is alive inside of you. If we come back just for a second to these 5 areas, the third one is the mind. So the mind is mastering all the processes that are happening inside of you in terms of thoughts and emotions. You want your mind to be your best ally. If your mind is working against you, that's not very good news, because you're going to fail at lots of things. The third one is money. I'm thinking of maybe changing that word for mission. It's money, mission. It's your contribution into the world and how you radiate all that into the world. And then the last one is spirit. And by spirit, I mean your relationship to the invisible. Because you might have really succeeded in all 4 areas, but if you don't have meaning and if you don't have connection with the invisible and with spirit, something essential is missing in the core of your heart. So if you score at 80% optimization in all of these areas, then I consider that you are a life master. You're a master. You're already there. Then
I'm still like, what do I get to learn?
Yeah, exactly. Then you can still optimize. You can still be optimizing. But basically, you wake up in the morning and you are happy 95% of the time. You're already in a place where it's like, whew. It doesn't mean that we denigrate the sadness or so on, but it's like you have an ability to shift between states. And so by Tantra, life mastery, I use the word also energetic mastery, master of energies, being able to master environments. It means that right now we are in the jungle, but you take us into an urban environment and we go, fuck yeah, we go clubbing, we go partying, we go singing on top of the skyscrapers, and we go,
do it all.
What do we do when we're in New York? I mean, I go to the top of a skyscraper, 6 a.m. in the morning, it's freezing cold.
Masculine energy, it's New York.
Yeah, exactly,
right?
It's freezing cold in the morning, and I go like, gracia, New York, I'm calling the spirit of New York to come and embody itself in myself, and then go jogging through the streets and going to the parks and activating and creating wonderful connections with other people. So this is master of different environments, right? We can be in the desert, in the jungle, in the ocean. We can be high mountains by the ocean. We can be in environments that are urban environments, really extreme, urban, super developed, and still thrive. The goal is to master all that. So that's what I call energetic or life mastery. It's being able to navigate all that.
Beautiful. Thank you. I love that you brought some presence to, I mean, that's what we've been on the journey of. I mean, the peeps in my program here have been going through the depths of energy practice, mastery in so many areas. And this, specifically tuning into relationship, I've really felt called to, let's speak to the aspects that don't really get spoken to. And you're also, your journey of life mastery, my journey of life mastery, what we've been able to, as we've learned, like to embody each blueprint, each thing that we have, we know there's a shadow state and there's a acidic state or a high vibrational state, right? And so it's like a lot of people don't know, like it's like there's just a shadow to, like, they think dark is the shadow, like the dark masculine, and really there's a whole other evolution of discovery of the light that is the dark masculine, and how that's held, and the light that is the light masculine, and the light in both the light and dark feminine, and that we each have those. So I'd love to, I feel like you're such a great teacher in this, because not only do you embody it all, yet you can also speak to it really well. It's like, what would you share for people to understand those 4 quadrants, like, and what they specifically look like? We can even go into, and let me ask you this first though, because this is what's coming through, is where do you feel like the separation of the feminine masculine originally began, and what's at the core that we're actually learning to heal? And this is kind of on an unconscious level. It's like the moment that we are incarnated, we feel a separation with source. And so we're seeking that remembrance, that connection to our divinity, to our wholeness, and to source, which we always have. We just decided and took on the lie that we were separate. And so in my studies around the world, there's like very much the influence of like when the feminine and masculine split in the cosmos, and it was the masculine feeling consumed, or a fear of being consumed or taken over, which a lot of times is the core wounding of the masculine, which is like, I'm going to be consumed by the feminine, because the feminine is that birth and the creatrix, right? And the feminine then feels the abandonment, and so the feminine wound can sometimes be abandonment. And I saw how through my studies in India and Egypt and all over, there was these different aspects of, even when like the priests and priestess would go to, I think it was Mount Giza, the Temple of Giza in Egypt, and they would have a ceremony morning and night where they had sacred sexual union to then put out those codes. And when there was a split of the feminine masculine, there became like, you know, the masculine, it was like the feminine shutting off their lower chakras, and the masculine shutting off their higher chakras. And so then it's created this collective thing where it's like, we think men are just about sex, the lower chakras, and women are, you know, wanting the heart connection, etc. And so there's become these core programs collectively in our, you know, in our earth plane, and what we've been, you know, and so it's like the remembrance of what else is available is what we're really seeking to find. Like, so, how do each of us get to come back to that anchoring of wholeness and embodiment of the aspects of ourselves that are masculine and what is the dark and the light, and the aspects of ourselves that are feminine, the dark and the light, so that we are literally fucking whole. And like, versus when we're fragmented, it's like, oh, this thing over here appeals to me. I need you to make this feel better, instead of coming from that place of wholeness and autonomous relationships, which is ultimately a reflection to our relationship with ourselves, which is divine, right? So that then we are in the space of others, and we're operating in wholeness. So that was kind of a back end that kind of came in as like, I want people to understand that there's been the split of that has created this feeling of separation from the masculine and feminine. And then so most people are like, well, like, I know how to operate in this, you know, but I don't know how to bring this in. And so I'll let you kind of go off on that.
Okay, beautiful. Yeah, thanks for sharing. So you know, what you just shared, I have a different perception on that. Like, for me, the cosmic or galactic or spiritual story that you're describing is not, I don't have the same experience. For me, if I go back to what I'm feeling right now, is like, first I'm just energy, right? So energy circulating, and then somehow certain actions or certain energies, I'm going to label them a little bit more as feminine and masculine. But even that is, for me, becomes sometimes separation. It's a little bit confusing. It's like, it might be useful when we are in interaction with each other. For me, the you know, precisely the split, I can go like, you know, and embody something that is more in the feminine, and be like, oh, now I'm shamanically embodying something that feels, I have long blonde hair, and I'm like, oh, feeling the softness of life. Or then I go into the Kali mode and go, I will destroy you, you know, and be into this space of energetic intensity, right? So all those different labels and different things that we do, I think that sometimes for the one who is seeking and trying to hold on to those stories, it might be confusing actually for you to embody it. Because I have a feeling that when the spirit of Tantra manifests itself, it's like it wipes out all
feminine and masculine, I feel like that too, right?
Well, they can be present, of course, but it comes back to the present moment right now. What is alive inside of you? What are you feeling? And how is there an aspect of your manifestation that you would like to explore and play with that you are not exploring yet? And so, for instance, the other day when we went in the river and we activated the dark masculine, right? It was the force of Kala. And then suddenly you start embodying something that is an essence inside of you that is not yet fully activated. And when we bring it to the surface, it's freaking powerful to see you coming into that space. So rather than coming from, you know, I don't know, a model or complexifying things too much, is like, if I'm having a session with you or with anybody, I would be like, okay, what is the quality that is missing in that person's life to start, you know, bringing in the foundation. And so when it comes to for instance, you know, what you were talking about, the coupling codes, we'll come to that one a little bit later. But basically, I wipe out all the history and all the stories that we might have about that and say, here's the potential that we can have. So I create a blank canvas. I say, these are the pillars of relating and how to make it work. And then what works, is to have polarization. Like, for instance, if you are very much in your feminine and your light and receptive, and I'm like more of you know, power force and protective force, and show up with those qualities, then it's going to allow to create a certain form of polarization that helps the circulation of energy. But very often what I hear in you know, in books, in videos, in programs, sometimes it confuses my mind already way too much. It's like I want to simplify it to the point where it's like,
bring it back to energy.
Yeah, exactly. Bring it back to presence and bring it back to, okay, you say you feel disconnected. You know, you say if there was a disconnection, what can we do to bring back the connection? And it's actually very, very simple. It's like we want to reactivate the connection here. We just sing precisely this mantra of polarization. Shivaya Shaktiya Anahataya Shivaya Shaktiya Jaya Shivaya Shaktiya Anahataya Shivaya Shaktiya Jaya Shivaya Shaktiya Anahataya Shivaya Shaktiya Jaya. So this one, when we sing it, we are calling the sacred masculine, the sacred feminine, unified in the heart. That's it. It's like, I miss that. Instead of being like, oh, we have been victims of some form of cosmic conspiracy by the gods who wanted to... No, it's like, what? So it's like, we bring it back and we say, if you are missing that, here are the steps that you can take to actually reactivate that.
So what I love that you're bringing in is, I actually believe that we'll come to a place of such unification with ourselves, there will be no idea of feminine or masculine or any separation. And again, this is like what I want to bring forth in this is that, because yes, this is like, I've talked to mantras all the time that we know that it's just really, if we take even like what you're saying, feminine, masculine out of it, any stories and ideas out of it, all we're looking at is there's different essence codes, there's different energy from each, you know, if we're calling in Kali, if we're calling in Isis, if we're calling in, you know, Ganesha or Lakshmi or whatever we're calling in, like you said, they each embody a certain essence and frequency and code.
Exactly.
And we're like, that's what actually I'm getting to activate. Like this morning we did Kali for 10 plus minutes as we were activating Kali, right? And so, that's ultimately where we go, is like what essence am I seeking to embody more of?
Exactly.
And how do we focus on that? And I love that that's what you really do. And that's why I say nothing is cookie cutter with what we do, because it's like, what is your soul requiring right now? What I want to bring in is that people can start to see the spectrum of the wholeness embodied.
Of course.
So it's like through your life mastery, you've worked with infinite number of codes, of all these codes, and embodying these codes that have allowed you then to embody the aspects you could label as dark masculine, light masculine, dark feminine, light feminine. And what I found interesting, and this is why I want to bring a conversation that people go, oh, and it might be that it's this simple. It really is always simple. It's like, hey, just in this moment, what am I called to embody or embrace more? Like if I'm working with a woman and she's very light feminine, and they don't feel a sense of power. Exactly. Then you bring in Kali and you help them embody their dark.
Let's dive into that a little bit more. So, for instance, you know, the thing that tends to happen, to make it really specific, when you are in the field of yoga, right? Yeah. So most of the times within the field of yoga, if you have a challenging emotion that you can label as a dark emotion, like for instance anger, you go back to yoga mat and you go back to the asanas. There is not going to be a space there for the teacher come to you and say, oh, you're angry, just start screaming and hitting and so on. So we are abstracting ourselves from our negative emotions, labeling them or shaming them as bad things. Then we go back to the light, right? We go back, okay, I need to be in peace. I need to be in love. I love everybody. Everything is perfectly okay right now. My anger is just an illusion. You know, and you start like suddenly feeling
still in yourself.
Yeah, it's still in your system, and then it's going to explode in different ways, you know. And so this is the path of yoga. We are making a bit fun of it, but it's not, you know, it's like, it's fantastic. It's like we focus on the light and we focus on love. This is what I did for 12 years of my training. It's like love and light, okay? And then suddenly you go like, somebody comes into your field in the form of a partnership, for instance, and kicks your ass big time and say, oh, you think you are the light.
Let me just test that mastery.
You think you're enlightened. You think that you are powerful because you know how to meditate. Fuck this shit. I'm going to prove to you that you have zero base and that I can wipe out your confidence and your presence in fucking no time. And then you are exposed to shadows coming into your field and you go like, whoa, what's going on here? I thought I was, you know, and you try to force yourself back into harmony, back in love. I respect and love everybody, you know, and you go like, okay, so this narrative is really beautiful, but the moment you want to integrate, you've got to come with like what I'm holding here, the Trishula, right? This is a symbol of the power of destruction or the power of manifestation as well. And it has two polarities, right? So these two polarities is like, light and dark, or feminine and positive, feminine and masculine. But we are gonna look just in the form of light and darkness. So this is why what I teach, I call it Tantra rather than yoga. Tantra and yoga for me are two pathways of energetic or life mastery that manifested in parallel, side by side. One of them is much more anchored into honoring and mastering the light. Another one mastering light and shadow, a little bit more with shadow aspects. So when we go into shadow or dark aspects, we look at them and we go like, how does it look like? And it's exactly what I was saying earlier. Anger is sacred. Okay.
Anger is
sacred.
Thank you.
Anger is toxic shadow when it's not owned. So the core thing for me here is, are you enslaved by your emotion, by your anger, or are you master of your anger? I'm not, the world has intense emotions. And so what is happening right now is like, we are going into destruction pathways. For instance, if you and I are in a relationship and we start to fight and we go, you know what, fuck you, and you go into this state where you go like, you are completely losing your center, then that's the moment where I'm being enslaved by an emotion that dominates me. And this is not what we want. We want to be masters of our emotions. And by master of our emotions, I don't mean like, I'm going to lock my emotions. No, it doesn't mean control. It can mean control sometimes, but it means being able to navigate the fluidity and the beauty. If you go surfing in a magnificent storm on the beach over here in Canggu, and you are like playing with the waves, and with intensity, you're going to have incredible peak experiences. Whereas if you and I right now start screaming in each other's face, within 5 minutes, we could hit a shadowgasm. Shadowgasm is a peak experience where the difference in the friction that we are creating is dissolving, and we enter into this state of blissful intensity, and we go like, what the fuck is happening right now? I feel so good. I'm not supposed to feel good because what I'm expressing is anger and rage, and and we can do that as a real life experience, as a role play. Like right now, it could be, I'm coming for you, and start rising. We're not going to do it here because it might be a little bit too intense for your listeners.
These are all the things we do naked in the water in the jungles. We do all sorts of fun stuff. Moving, directing energy.
Exactly. So in the distinction between light and darkness, the dark masculine precisely, if you look at the 1,000 names of Shiva, right? Shiva has 1,000 names of 1,000 expressions. So for instance, one of the names is Kala. Kala is this dark, doesn't give a fuck. Freedom, you heard about the fuck it experience, right? The fuck it theory. When something comes to you that you don't like, you go like, fuck it. Fuck it. And it feels great. It's like, oh no, I'm not supposed to swear. You go like, fuck it.
Not in
fuck
my
it.
world.
So Kala would be the full expression of that. Into darkness, it's a fuck this shit. I don't give a fuck because I'm free and I do whatever the fuck I want. So that's a very intense expression. But guess what? It might save your life. It might take you out of a challenging breakup just like that. You're like, fuck it. I don't need fucking thing. This is a free up. I'm free being, And so you can shift mindset if you use consciously all that. There is Kala, there is Bhaira, he's the shaman who goes deep into the jungles, and he's going to be like this force manipulating magic and play with it. It's really seductive to play with these energies, and you go like, okay, well, with greater power comes greater responsibility. You start tapping into something like the power of the Trishula here. You need to know what you want to do with this. Are you going to destroy the world and destroy the people you care for? Are you going to go like, or are you going to use that as a power of protection and manifestation?
So you just even said it, and this is one I want to bring this in, is that it's like in the dark masculine, in their shadow, in the wounding of the dark masculine, it can show up as like a predator of, controlling, abusive, etc.
Exactly.
And yet when I experience you in your dark masculine, because you've embodied the masculine in its strengths, the darkness in its strengths, again, like anchoring these codes of, you use the example of being like, not able to tap into, not use that anger to ground that into like, I'm centered in all of my being and I can tap into my power. So I experienced you in that, like, that holding the field of actual anchoring and protection and like all things. That is the gift of the embodiment of the dark masculine. So there's the what we get to move through that would be the shadow aspects.
Exactly.
To then encode in the gifts of each of these aspects that allow us to be, like you said, in any moment. I really love that you're bringing in that in any moment, because it is true. Like, we're not always like, the idea is to be really balanced. I live very balanced in my masculine and feminine. I can be in a coaching or a training and move from one aspect where it's like, whoa, to like, softness and sweet and the lightness as well. And we're usually in one or the other more strongly based on what we're doing.
Exactly.
And then you're saying this can come in these specific codes. Like, say, for instance, we're in Kali or Kala specifically, and it's like that is more of the code of anchoring in that strong masculine, the dark masculine that brings us the support in the environment or the experience that we're in.
And this is really, really important what you're saying, because you are a fantastic embodiment, because you are a very good shapeshifter. It's like you can shift from...
Ditto, beloved.
Yeah, exactly. You can shift from light to darkness. You are able to play with these energies, but you're not being dominated by these things. This is the thing that is really important. It is that we use all that, like being a warrior as a female or as a male is really a powerful thing to embody. Because sometimes one day you might have to defend your children or go on a survival journey because you landed on a deserted island and you've got to fight. And so if you cannot access those dark survival skills, then you might end up trapped in situations where you die or your family dies. And so the reason why those things are present on the planet and humankind is not because there was some form of cosmic mistakes in the makeup of our beings. No, it's because that's what it takes to be incarnated on this planet.
Yes.
We need those tools. These are the rules of incarnation for planet Earth, and this is how we function. Another code word that we are using a lot is the word integration. This is integrated spirituality or embodied spirituality. What we mean by that is not just abstract thoughts. It's not just we are going to be projecting all that. No, it's like we live today in this incarnated reality. You have businesses, you play with money, you deal with relationships and love life, and basically we live in the world. So it's not just being abstracted in a monastery somewhere and practicing that within the safety of isolation. It's like, no, we bring it back into the world.
So many times I'm like, I would just love to go sit on the mountaintop and just talk to ascended masters all day. But I'm like, my journey is here.
Exactly. So this idea of integration and embodiment is really, really important, because it's not just some abstract concept. Right now you hear that and you go like, well, how, we are embodying it every day. I wake up in the morning and by 10 o'clock I already did like 20 different forms of practices to activate and bring that into this energy. Another core aspect is when we think of the dark, we're going to take the example of the dark masculine because it's easy to track it. In the dark masculine you have the immature aspects and the mature aspects, right? So you have the unhealthy,
or the wounds and the strengths, maybe.
Exactly. You have the unhealthy and the healthy masculine. But the word that I use, the code word, is mature or immature. So for instance, if I see one of my brothers, a friend, doing something crazy and being in a state...
Do you want to pause?
Yeah.
Hang on, we're going to pause.
Yeah.
We're back.
So, along that line, it's if I see a brother of mine going and having a very intense connection with his lover, for instance, and he might be full on abusive, losing his shit, right? He might be like, you fucking, and be really aggressive with her. You can pinpoint if that man is doing that from a mature place or immature place.
Right.
If he's in his mature place, you will feel like it's an empowering experience. You will be like, I'm so fucking angry right now, and owning his anger. If he's triggered, and there's justification, she might have been cheated on him or doing something that is horrible, or he felt betrayed, and he's owning his anger, you will feel like it's an empowered moment. There is connection to spirit. He's not losing his track. But if he's in a place where he starts getting, physically violent and really losing the connection with himself, you can see that this is an expression of the dark masculine, but it's in its immature form.
Yes.
So in today's world, you look around and a lot of the immature, you know, a lot of the darkness that is being expressed is very immature. It's very immature.
Could you maybe list some traits? Well, like what are some traits we see as the dark masculine in its immaturity or in its weakness or still its wounds?
Well,
like you said, predator is definitely one of them.
Well, I mean, even the predator.
The predator can actually be
exactly.
So this is again one a frequency can be both dark and light.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, and the core difference is not so much about you know, about the quality itself, is how it is embodied or expressed. Yeah. So when I see you know, when I coach men, I go like, are you being a mature man right now? Is this an immature expression of you or a mature expression of you? And so most of the times we can distinguish straight away. For instance, if I go into you know, victimization patterns, there is lots of things along that line. So you know, internally you go like, you do a check-in and you go like, am I being mature or immature right now?
I love how you said it earlier also, which could be a reference point for people, is it was like, are you being run by the emotion?
Exactly.
Or are you running the emotion?
Exactly.
Are you directing and running it through your system? Like, I notice I'm feeling really angry, and can I express it? And I direct and move that emotion. I connect to the anger. I'm in charge of directing the emotion versus like, I'm a victim to my anger.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Okay. So the idea of mastery is really the core thing. Yeah. Is, am I being dominated? Am I being enslaved by the emotion, or am I master of what's circulating? So right now we looked at the dark masculine, right? Then we can look in the light masculine, the light masculine shadow, and or immature expression would be victimization. You're going to abandon me again. I can feel that. Please don't leave me. You know, it's like the neediness, the clinginess. There's lots of light. You know, because it's not aggressive energies. These are not dark emotions. They are light emotions, but in an immature form. So this is the thing that is really interesting: is that we need to master both the lights.
Yes.
And the darkness.
There's gifts in you being in the light, masculine as well.
Exactly.
It's like that. The openness, the sensitivity, the sweetness, the compassion, that is the light in its strength or in its, you could say, maturity.
Yeah. And love, you know, love is the essential place from where I function, you know, which is a light quality. It's not a shadow or dark quality. The love, the peace, the intention to help the planet, humankind, the compassion that we feel for the world, the desire to show up. You know, all those qualities are like light qualities. So again, we have like dark masculine, light masculine with mature and immature aspects in both. And then if we shift to the feminine now, you know, the embodiment, for instance, the embodiment that you might have in you, then the light feminine, you know, again has mature, immature aspects. There are some women who are going to express their light and their vibration in a way that is really anchored. And when you go into, you know, precisely stories of abandonment and victimization and so on, then you start entering into light, feminine,
which is like immature. Indecisive, the immaturity parts of it.
Exactly. Right. So it's good to have a little bit this model so that you can track a little bit where you are at. And when we do techniques, when we do practice together, most of the times we go like, oh, here we are. This morning was dark feminine in the form of Kali, you know, and so why? Because it's an important embodiment. So I want to say something about that is really important. It is that when I look at women in my field, you know, women I coach, friends, my social circle, or women in the world most of the times, what I notice is that there is a very essential gap in the expression of the dark feminine in its mature form. And what this means is that when I hear women being victims of things, you know, I say, what you miss is a very simple thing. It's not solving just that problem or solving that. It's not because technology or not having the right person to help you. What is missing is a core quality, an embodiment quality in the form of, for instance, Kali energy. Kali gives you power. It anchors the core. You know, it's like when you do fitness training, you go like, we're going to strengthen the core, right? So within the spiritual field, it's the same thing. You want to strengthen the core. You want to strengthen this pillar of energy that keeps you safe. So this is why we cultivate the relationship with the dark feminine. Again, it's not a bad thing. It can be a bad thing if it's expressed in immature ways, because women who have access to dark energy can be abusive, you know,
That's
can be fucking bitches.
That's the
you know.
immature aspect of it, yes.
Exactly. And so a woman who owns her dark feminine and is master of it is so fucking hot, sexy. It's like,
I'm getting orgasmic
like,
right now, all of it.
And it's like you get really turned on as a man when you're expressed to that level of power that is fully embodied and is balanced with love, is balanced with respect, and then you go like, okay, now I've got a woman who's got the full range of expression.
So I love that you brought that in, and that really what it gives you, because each of these things that that's why like along the journey I was like, oh, like when we looked at specificities, you could say, or maturity levels of the light feminine, I was like, yeah, I embody those. Dark feminine, yeah, I embody those. Light masculine, yep. And it was like, well, wait, how have I? And I'm recognizing now, like both of us having gone the journey where it's like constantly anchoring in specific energies and codes, becoming a life master of the different things. You through that you create the embodiment of the lighter aspects or the mature aspects of each of these. It's kind of like as we go through life and we're learning to move through those things. And so something you just said, it's coming back, is bringing in like, you know, as you're talking to in these different experiences, it feels like what we're really anchoring in is, oh gosh, I lost it, it's coming back. You said something and I really wanted to bring it in. I'll remember. Keep going. I'll bring it back in.
So once we have this overview of all those different qualities, then what we want to do is really learn how to play with that as an art form, okay? Because we don't want to mentalize everything. We don't want to be like in the kitchen following the book recipe and not being able to play with that. So once you are thrown into life, the goal is to be able to integrate all those different parts and play with them at will, right? And it becomes an art form. This is why what we're doing here is not just a recipe and a system that you follow. The system is there, and it's like the different cores that you use. At some point you forget the techniques and then you just dive and jump into life, and then you are able to recall the different aspects and the different tools that you want to bring in the core of that. But this is, then you enter into a flow state. Okay, this is like the tantric flow. And and that's it's really good to understand and realize that everything that we're talking about here, so there is the tantric spirit behind that. That tantric spirit is not just some abstract energy, it is intelligent. Okay, it's an intelligence. It means that right now you and I are having this conversation, so there is you, there is me, there is the audience, and then there is the tantric spirit. Why are we having this conversation? Why are we in a temple? Why are we in Bali? Because there is a force, a powerful intelligence force that is guiding us, okay, that is inspiring us. So this is really important to understand, because otherwise we are just like lost in trying to figure this out from a mental place. No, this is like inspiration. After you watch this video, you will have insights, okay? Things coming to your life and you say, oh, maybe I should try that. Respond to the insight, okay?
Right, it's in your field for
exactly.
a reason.
This is the way it works. It's like, if you have an insight or you have a desire, you have a hint that comes into your mind, this is how the spirit talks to you. Okay, it gives you a hint, and then it says, are you going to respond or not? If you respond, you get more hints, and then the path starts opening up. If you don't respond because you have other priorities, you go like, oh, I need to watch TV for the next 3 hours, or I've got bills to pay, or I've got to take care of my kids. All that is great, you know. I'm not blaming you for that. But what I'm saying is that this is how it works. It's like if you send a message to somebody and that person doesn't respond, then you send messages to somebody else.
You move on, right?
Yeah, exactly. You move on. So the spirit is the same. The spirit of Tantra functions like that. It's like it's going to channel itself in the people who are responsive to that energy. It's very simple. Out of all the people who are watching this video or listening to this audio, my guess is that there is maybe 10% of people who are really ready for this, okay? It's not everybody. This is like, not everybody is ready to spend 1 hour on the yoga mat every day. Not everybody is ready to engage into the practice that we're describing. So this is a selected tribe, okay? Tantra was not mainstream in India. It's an esoteric system. It's a system of mysteries and a system of magic that we play with. and we learn how to master all that. So for those of you who are listening to this and you're like, yes, I want to engage.
I only call in the best.
Yeah, exactly. Probably if you are on Marcy's channel,
they're like,
exactly.
Okay, woo woo cray cray, I'm
exactly.
all about it.
So this is the tribe. Maybe over there is more like a 50% people who are ready for this. Yeah. So what I want you to do is reach out to Marcy, reach out to me, just engage. Engage. Don't be there waiting and trying to mentalize things and trying to understand them with your head. Yeah. The moment it shifts is the moment.
Experience it.
Exactly.
But I feel like that's truly, I mean, my whole intention of this was like, how do we recognize that there are different aspects that we get to master to become embodied as our wholeness? Because our whole journey is to be an embodied, integrated soul. And really through our conversation, I'm even aware that like through art, it's because we've been so committed to the journey of being in life fully and experiencing each thing then allows us to embody that anchoring, that code, that awareness to operate from that place. And that can be like, oh, now I'm more embodied in my dark masculine. I know how to anchor that in and how to practice that in my life and how to own that. Mm-hmm. And now I'm more embodied in my light masculine, in my dark feminine, etc. But those are all just really, I love that, I mean, I always come down to like in this moment what am I experiencing in energy, and I love that you do as well. So really it's like these are just frameworks that we can go, oh, okay, I can see that I get to, this actually is a power, because a lot of people can associate, like you talked about anger, and they can associate anger as being a bad thing, which they think is dark masculine as a bad thing. It's like, no, there's fucking epic awesomeness in the dark masculine and the light masculine and the dark feminine and the light feminine. So it's just to bring this context into this. With this is as we embody and we start to play in the journey of our wholeness. Because that's all this really is. And this is just like, oh, okay, so it is okay for me to play in all parts of me in this, which that's why I'm, my tribe has highly gone into this, and so it's not necessarily something I've spoken to. So what I would love your, kind of leading this conversation into is, as we're doing that, because the other thing that you're really amazing at, and you teach a lot of people, and as you work with, like you have you guys, by the way, I have all these are awesome. He's got his coupling codes. And the coupling tips, these things that these beautiful products that Shiva has made with little, things that you can practice in here. So working, and one of the reasons in my experience with Shiva is I wanted to work with an embodied man, that you embody all aspects. Mm-hmm. And to do rituals and activations, and we've been like, anchoring in different codes and doing these things together, I would love to kind of steer the conversation just to like, whatever aspects, because I know we spend a lot of time on this other aspect, but of kamayama, like the mastery of sex, or the mastery of like the union and the coupling and the partnership, and like what is the, what would be, because I mean for me, I meet a lot of powerful leaders and people that I coach, and they're waiting for when that man shows up. Yeah, exactly. To then do those things. Now me, I was like, all right, I'm feeling called to like expand this. I've done literally fucking years of sex magic ritual with myself so fully. And it's so glorious. Well done. And I love all that. So proud of you. It's so glorious. And it's like, how else do I get to expand in these frequencies and these practices? And hence, I've been working with, tantric massage and doing all these other things. And then when, was really looking for who do I expand that awareness with, this doesn't, and there's so many aspects to this, because it's not like, we're going down to the jungle and having sex. We're going down to the jungle and still stripping to our nakedness and doing these codes, that I can have this, like, this practice with this partner that are holding all these codes, and I'm experiencing you, holding all those codes. And also, there's just such beauty in that expansiveness of what's actually available there. And so I'd love to, like, speak to that a little bit, because you're also a master. Yeah, beautiful. Thank you for sharing all that. So if we go back to the energy of sexual mastery, right? So right now on this planet, if we expand a little bit, the way sexual energy is being used on this planet is kind of fucked up on many levels. It's like it's a source of pain and a source of. It's still working. Hang on 1 second.
1 second.
Pause, Jess. And we're back.
So when we look at the energy of sex around the planet, right? Before we start zooming in into individual stories or experiences, right now there is a lot of, rape and abuse and, this is not a comfortable conversation, but women getting mutilated, the genitals being cut off, and the trauma in relationships as well, in coupling experiences, extremely painful divorce situations and uncoupling. So all that, what this means is that right now, if I have to give a mark to humankind on how good we are as human race at navigating sexual energy, I would say we score maybe 20%. It's not high.
That's pretty nice. I actually would score lower than
Yeah,
that.
it sucks. It's like people are in pain around it. You know, most people.
Relationship to relationship and sex is
Exactly. Most people are going to be sexually deprived for maybe 80-90% of their life, maybe their entire life. Maybe they will never experience pleasure through sex. So what this means is that there is a whole area here which is holding humankind back. Imagine if everybody was, sexually really satisfied and fulfilled on that level. People would not make stupid decisions based on the wounding of their inner child. They would be like, I'm functioning from a place of sexually liberated being.
Yeah.
That's the
also
place.
Creation energy.
Exactly.
It is our core creation.
Exactly. So this is the place from where we want to upgrade the codes as human race and really be able to tap into that. So the good news is that if there is an aspect of our life on a sexual level that is unfulfilled, and then we start upgrading that, then it impacts everything and everybody around us. And so what I believe is that you go like, why is Tantra so sexualized in the West? Why is it? Because there is a need.
Yeah.
Imagine that the spirit of Tantra is this compassionate being that
they're
arrives.
not denying that aspect of it, even though it's many other aspects that people don't know. Like
No,
Tantra's
exactly.
life mastery, it's seen for the sex because that's probably the most triggering too.
Well,
it's like,
maybe.
oh wait, that's about sex, and it is definitely like the thing that's missing.
But imagine that I am the spirit of Tantra, right?
Yeah.
And I'm navigating the planet and say, where does humankind need help? Where does humankind need help? And you go like, oh my God, they need help with sex. And you go like, no, it's not. We are not diving into sex because we are greedy for pleasure. It doesn't come from that place. No, it comes from a place like, wow, there is something there that we are not really mastering and learning how to play with. So let's play with it.
Yeah.
And so once we have that, this is the first code. I want you to know that this is where everything, the core teachings of what I teach around vital sex and tantric sex. I was back in the Himalayas in a cave, 6,000 meters high elevation, spending my 10 days of isolation over there and getting these insights. And suddenly the word, Kama from Kama Sutra comes and say, okay, I need to work with Kama. And then what is it that we are doing? Pranayama, breath mastery, pranayama. I go like, Kamayama! My God, this is what we need. We need to be
Sex mastery.
Sex masters. Yeah, we need to master our sexual energy.
Yeah.
By sex masters, it doesn't mean going to somebody and being able to give that person an orgasm at will. Okay, that can be part of the story, but there is something deeper than that. It is mastering the flow of your sexual fire and learning how to play it at will.
Yeah.
Whereas if I'm giving my love to somebody and that person doesn't give their love back to me, I take back my sexual energy and I redirect it. I'm not infatuated. I'm able to play with different levels of intensity. If I'm like in my predator mode and I notice that, that turns that person on, and I'm going to keep on going. But if I notice it's not working, then I shift. I'm going to softness or kindness. Maybe that person needs healing. Maybe they need more intensity. Maybe they need to feel the warrior inside of me. So this is sexual mastery. And right now, if you're listening to that, check on your sexual experience right now, between 0 and 100%. How?
I did an epic sex magic ritual last night, by the way.
Okay, fantastic.
So I'm at 100 right now. No.
Fantastic.
More.
So between 0 and 100%, how high do you score? And you notice that what we are saying right now we are using is just sexual energy by itself. It doesn't mean yet relationship, it doesn't mean yet coupling, it's just how do you feel with your sexual fire. We did rituals with my brothers in a circle of men where, I opened the space, we were doing these vital sex practices at Burning Man. And it's a night and I've got like 28 men showing up and 1 woman, right? You go like, what are we gonna do? We practice vital sex, breathing and waking up energy, and guess what? By the end of the night, by the end of this practice, within 30 minutes, you had 30 men, 28 men or 28, and 1 woman. Maybe the woman might have left because she felt a little bit unsafe with all these men. But the point is this, is that suddenly we have a circle of men who are fully activated in their sexual power, which is freaking incredible because that blows your mind when you see it happening and you have like 30 men going into orgasmic states together. There's no genital touch. There are no women around. Nobody's touching each other. We are just there breathing and activating energy. You go like, my God, your perception of what sex is completely changes.
Thank you.
Okay?
That's definitely something that I felt like as you're explaining this, because people have this idea like, okay, so sex master, and there's so many old programs attached to sex, pleasure, what it has to look like, in what container, blah, 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 that keeps people from what it actually is. I love that you brought that in, is that's why I'm like, I could go, you know, sex mastery is the mastery of that energy.
Exactly.
It's the mastery of the kundalini, the creation center, that, you know, the womb, which is the birthing center, right? That I can and bring that in. And, you know, to give some examples of that, it's like we've done that down in the jungle. We're like naked in the river and we're both like breathing and just moving that energy, and we're tapping into that energy and like the cosmic, the magnification. That's where like I felt called to like experience this in ritual with someone else, the magnification of your energy and my energy, and like bringing that out and the mastery that is. And for me, my personal experiences through my journey with diving into not sexual healing in all ways and activation of that sex energy is an orgasmic bliss with all of fucking life.
Exactly.
It's not, I need you as a man to have an experience with your genitals and my genitals and penetration or any bullshit like that that's like so like limited, like that, like, oh, it's about the fucking genitals? No, it's not. And it's like, you know, we were in the jungle today, you know, you left me alone for a few minutes and I'm like with the clay and, and you know, I'm like, like literally just like coding in, and I was like, what did I say to you? Do you remember?
No, I don't remember.
I said,
oh, you're making love with
I said it's so fucking juicy and luscious. I could make love to Pachamama Gaia all day long, every day.
Exactly.
I was literally having orgasmic feelings and sex and that energy coming through me, sitting there in the water all by myself with the clay and doing all that, and it wasn't this idea of sex. So I really want to bring that in.
Exactly.
That it's the sex mastery. So as you describe these men in this circle that are feeling fully connected to that sexual energy, which is that power of creation, that connection to all that I fucking am.
Yes.
That, like, the power of, we're all operating from that place.
Exactly.
There is no, like you're saying, like, okay, I feel not enough, and it's going to depend on how you operate with me and give me. It's like,
okay, so all that you're talking about is precisely the shadows of sex, is the mature aspect. So we are building into the maturity. The other thing that you're saying, which is beautiful, I love seeing you like, you know, Pachamama, you know, making love with nature is just like. You saw
me in the Tantra experience too. We did the energy like one, and literally totally quiet room. Everyone's just like sharing energy with the person, and I'm like, like, and my person starts getting orgasmic, and we had a whole orgasmic experience. It was awesome.
Exactly. So the beauty of that is that, you see, there is no genital touch. There is nothing that looks like sex from the outside. You know, we're not kissing, we're not engaging into like the traditional sexual practice. What we're practicing is energy sex. It's what I call vital sex. So the energy sex, the good thing is that right now, you know, we can and it can be softer as well. It can be like I can go into like when my pitch goes up, right? This is my light masculine. If I go into my dark masculine, you know, and so we can play with all the different frequencies and shift from one to the other. There's still no genital touch. We're still not touching each other.
I'm just vibrating orgasm over here.
And guess what? Yeah, exactly. And then guess what? You could be a man, and we could still be practicing that, even if I'm not sexually attracted to that person. We could be a group of people and have group sex. You know, it's group. We're not touching each other. It's still group. It's still an activation of group sex. So there is lots of shame and guilt. For instance, if we go into the subway in New York and we just go like, you know, people are going to start feeling really uncomfortable. And guess what? That's another shadow. All the shame, all the guilt around, don't touch your genitals, this is dirty, you're a pervert. You know, it's like, what? And then suddenly you start cutting yourself.
There.
Down
all
there.
The things we've done to like shame the whole area.
Exactly. So this is the good news, is that within the systems that we're developing and practicing, and you know, we get rid of the shame and all the guilt and all these shadow aspects that surround the the sexual energy. On top of that, when it comes to masculine dark expressions, right? And all this rape, we transmute all that. For instance, if I have men coming to my circles, you know, and we are going to have a retreat soon, precisely with a group of men, this is what we practice. We want to honor the darkness in men, including their dark sexual energy, but it's going to be channeled in a way that honors the counterpart, honors the feminine, honors women, you know. We are fucking protectors of your integrity and your beauty and your love. This needs to stop. We don't want that in our field. We are here as protectors. So we use our dark masculine not to abuse, not to rape, but to protect.
Yes.
It's the same energy transmuted in a totally different form, right? How does it make you feel when you hear that? Yes, exactly. That turns you on. You feel safe, you know. So it's really important to look at all that. Like, it's really an art form, you know. We are playing with different things more than it's being guided by spirit. It's being guided by our tantric muses, you know, that we channel, and we bring all that into manifestation. Yeah.
Wow, that was beautiful. I feel like we could just chat about this.
I want to say just one thing about the coupling, because lots of people are looking at that and say, well, I don't have a partner. How do I do?
Right.
Okay, where do I start? Right now we are talking about sexual mastery, right? Being sex masters. So you can be coupling masters. Okay, when it comes to coupling dynamics, coupling and sex are two different things. Okay, sometimes you have coupling and you have great, everything is great, sex might not be that good, or sometimes you have great sex but you don't have a coupling experience. So we're going to separate the two of a little bit and simply look at the coupling experience. Coupling, you can be coupling masters. Okay, this is what you're aiming for. It's not just, oh, I need better communication, my husband, I have stories, I have trauma, I have victimization, I have abandonment issues. No, just take a moment to upgrade the whole thing and look at it from a higher perspective. What we are aiming is for the summit, okay, for the manifesting the full range, the full pyramid, the whole fucking experience of the tantric coupling experience. So how do you start? It's very simple. The code word for coupling is yuga.
That's right.
Okay, yuga in Sanskrit means couple or pair. Yuga yama means coupling mastery. So sing that for like 5 minutes every day. You go like Yuga yama jaya, Yuga yama jaya, Shiva Shakti, Yuga yama, Shiva Shakti yama. You can modify it in whatever. Yeah, exactly. Yuga yama jaya, 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 and you keep on going. So you have Kama yama jaya for sexual mastery, Yuga yama for coupling mastery, and you go like, wow, I still no. It's gonna, this mantra and opening to the tantric spirit from that place is going to guide your experience. It's going to allow you to create a resonance where you stop doing what doesn't work and you do more of what works, and you will get the insights, right? You can go to my website, the coupling codes are there. There's much more. Reach out to Marcy. She's an expert in absolutely everything. You reach out to me, and then we make it work. And there is, of course, lots of resources. But what I want to tell you is that there is a very simple access to creating coupling mastery. Start with this mantra, and then everything is going to start embodying itself. Within 3 months, you could manifest like 80% of the codes that you need to be in a super fucking amazing relationship. And the moment you are ready, then partners start showing up. You know, potential partners, the appropriate person starts showing up. So don't be like, oh my God, no, first you need to be ready. Are you coupling ready? Really, are you relationship
ready?
It's
coming, again, everything that I teach in relationship is always like, it's all a reflection of the relationship with yourself. You are the primary relationship.
Exactly.
So it is like, you know, we get to, you know, instead of like, well, I need that to come so that I can practice that, or then it's like, actually, whatever I'm seeking, I get to give to myself first, and I'm practicing this, being this now. So like you're saying, are you embodied in that, like, in your own wholeness, that you can, you know, allow even more to be received into your life? Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
Okay. One more thing I want to say that is really important is that it's a pathway. This is why I use words like tantric training, because there is a strong parallel with going to the gym and coming to the tantric gym.
Totally.
The reason
It
why
is
it
a
works
training,
is because
though.
you repeat the practices. You do the practice. When you sing, you don't sing the mantra just one day, then you forget about it. You say, well, I already sang it like 3 months ago. Say, you need to reprogram, redesign, restructure, reframe your mindset, your way of thinking, the programming of your body. So you need to go back to the practice, and this is really important. So it's tantric training.
Yeah, that's why for hours before like we even meet, we both done for hours, like already, like you said, so many things that are activating. It's just part of the embodiment tools and living in the practices that allow you to anchor those codes and those frequencies to be living from that place.
Exactly. And it takes fucking dedication, okay? It's like if you think that it's just going to be like, oh, I unhook that and I have a code and I listen to this video or this audio and it's enough. No, it's not enough. The pathway of tantric mastery, for me, it's a 12-year pathway. You graduate in like 3 or 4 different PhDs. That's the equivalent. It takes fucking dedication and embodiment. And I'm not saying this to scare you. I'm saying that it takes.
Open you.
It takes dedication. I don't like the word work. I don't think it's work. It's like it's fun. It's pleasure.
It's every
single step of the process is fun. Every session that we have. I'm never working.
I'm like, I don't want to leave the jungle. Let's stay naked and play in the jungle.
Exactly. Exactly. I stopped working 20 years ago. I don't work anymore. It's just flow and passion and play and
that's our activation. That is our expansion.
Exactly. But the thing that is very important is if you are a yes to all that, you must show up. You need to be a yes. You need to be a constant yes. You need to be every day. You repeat your yes, and then insights come. Then don't fall back into comfort thinking. Don't go back into this is who I am, my story, my cave. No, just like you want to open up, you want this to come into your field, you have to be a yes to the tantric spirit and be, please, help me, guide me.
Let's make that simple. All it really takes is being open and leaning in every single moment.
Exactly.
Because every moment, as you said, if you even start chanting the Yaga Yama or Yuga Yama or Kama Yama, right? And it's like you're chanting that and you're bringing in that essence and you're calling for that basically from the tantric spirit into your life. What's going to happen is something's going to, again, also the intuition is going to pop up and like, ooh, I feel, like I was like, ooh, I'm feeling called to, and then like it led me to Tantra and then it led me to you and it led me to my other experiences and the other teachers I'm working with and all the things. I'm like, ooh, because just following that moment, the energy is pulling me this direction. What's here? Let me get curious and let me take that next inch, that next step, and then at least the next, and that's how fucking simple it can be.
Exactly.
When we just fucking follow the step at a time and a moment at a time, it's effortlessly provided for us. And like you said, the universe is effortlessly supporting us in our design of what we get to embody and experience. So then. It's here for us to experience. So,
beautiful.
So it can be easy. I believe, and I also teach that everything is as easy or as hard as you want to make it, because it's all based on your perception.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So it's like even the what could be like a 12-year journey, like fucking yes, like a 12-year party.
Exactly.
Because again, if that mastery is what it looked like that we created today, which is just fucking play and like chanting and breathing and dancing and all the things and like, wow, yes, that's what it can be. Exactly. It really can be. I'm
all about fun and flow and ease and magic.
Yeah. Because that is our true divinity. That's our natural state. So, my love.
Exactly. Beautiful.
Fucking fuckity fuck.
We can keep on going for another hour.
We could do this. We could do this all day.
We'll give you a break for now. We'll do another recording another time.
I just want to say thank you. I love you so infinitely. I'm so grateful for you in my world. And
thank
just
you,
being
Marcy.
on the journey with you and all the codes you carry and hold, and
that's so
being
sweet.
able to share this space with you and talk about these things with you, and just your level of mastery is always just such a gift. I so appreciate you.
Yeah, if you feel inspired by this woman, just reach out to her. She's fucking amazing. And my website is vitalcoaching.com. Reach out over there. I'm on Instagram, Facebook,
cool
everywhere.
Little, videos of even showing different activations you can do, and
lots of
there's
things.
coupling codes. I have all those that you can just. Such great tools.
There's so about 5,000 pages of content, 3,000 videos, dozens of programs.
So many amazing.
Go and check it out on vitalcoaching.com.
I'm there like every Monday with Shiva in the jungle. That's
and on my social media, it's all Vital Coaching. If you search for Vital Coaching in one word or Shiva Rajaya. Easy?
We'll post all
we'll post all that. Yeah. What do we do now?
I love you. Yeah.
We do Jaya.
We're doing Jaya.
Jaya is 5 times. Okay, every time you finish a ritual, you just go like this.
Jaya! 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 Jaya!
This one goes crazy every time we do that. I love it.
All right, love you
We
guys.
love you.
Mwah.
We'll see you soon.